this kind of a situation are harming us as a country. When people decide to engage in this act of violence, it discourages investors from coming into the country to help us. It is harming all of us as a people. It is undermining the peace and tranquility of our nation. So something must be done to address it in a most urgent manner.
Yes, surely, and I agree with you. Let me just bring this one down because our guest just arrived. Let me just play this information, this announcement, and then we turn to our guests to do our discussions.
Announce the death of PM. The body will be removed from the Capitol building, the Kaiser Memorial Cemetery in Nibali Warner, Johnson S. Willabo, and Jalawa A. Tombo, widow, children, and nephews of Minister of Justice and Attorney General, Republic of Liberia. Wednesday, August.
Minutes up to 5 o'clock. The bumper show moves on. Okay, let me pause this one. Let me pause it quickly because our guest is already seated. Our guest is here already. He's the correspondent of the British Broadcasting Corporation, Jonathan Paye-Layleh. We thought to invite him basically to talk about some crucial issue, as you quite well Paye-Layleh just in recent time did a communication to the press unit of Liberia. I'm sure Paye-Layleh, along with some independent journalists, with the contents and basically the rationale, will be talking about that. So, Jonathan, how you doing, man?
Well, I'm very well, thank you, Savo. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, okay, Paye-Layleh. And how is it with you? Relative to your reportorial duties?
Well, we all are just doing what we should be doing, like our colleagues who work nationally are doing. We too are just trying to do our bit. But so far, so good. Of course, you cannot report on and about everything that is happening because, like the BBC, and by the way, my appearance here today, I'm here as a Liberian journalist.
Okay.
I don't represent
the British Broadcasting
BBC because I'm not a BBC employee anyway.
But you're a stringer of the BBC.
Yes, I am. So I always like to make that clear. And so whatever I say here, I'm responsible for whatever I say. So everything is on course in terms of what we should be doing. Of course, expectations will always be there, but what we are able to verify, and authenticate is what we are able to put out. So I know sometimes people will expect more, but if you look at the BBC, they've cut down a lot of the African service programs over the year. The Network Africa, Postma Africa, Africa Have Your Say, African Perspective. So you only have this one flagship program that focuses on Africa that covers the whole of Africa, and so now getting items on the program is difficult because they have so many things you can imagine, and you were sitting down, as the producer, and the reporters are all across the continent, South Africa, Kenya, and all the places. Different things are happening, and so at the end of the day, certain things will happen in Liberia, for example, and people may think that it's one of the biggest things that's happening on the continent. But if you are sitting down in London receiving information from different parts of Africa, you will know that it's just one of the smaller things that they are seeing out there. But sometimes you understand the emotion and sentiments of people when they think that certain things happen, you didn't report. Otherwise, we're here.
Okay, so but what I want to know from you, Paye-Layleh, I want you to give me a clear and honest opinion. Reporting in Liberia for the BBC. Comparing that with 5 years back up to present. How is it like with you?
Well, the work never changes anyway. The challenges will always be there. Of course, when I was covering the Civil War, we can't consider the state of affairs and in terms of your safety at that time to now, but to the period from the end of the war in 2003 to now, things are obviously better. Your personal security comes first. That was not guaranteed when the war was raging here. I mean, when we were flying here, going to places, Kulahong and all the places to see the fighting, you know, and you are worried what's going to happen behind you. From that time to even what Liberian people have started to call World Wars 1, 2, 3, the 3 attacks on Monrovia, you know, that ended with the departure of President Charles Taylor. So, of course, those were difficult days, but we fought hard to ensure that we have a safe environment to work in, and for the political environment to also be safe for everybody. And so, I can say it was more difficult those days than now, because we all worked hard to ensure that this day should come.
Okay.
It didn't just come by itself.
In terms of freedom of the media, do you also support the one we have now, or there's still problems regarding that?
Well, from the day of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, president, I think the media in Liberia has to some extent been free. You know, there may be some bottlenecks here and there, and but what I know is that journalists in Liberia has persevered. They have refused to be subjected to intimidation. They have done their work, and I think media institutions and media watchdogs across the world have always seen the resilience of Liberian media, but the media cannot be entirely free everywhere. You see what I mean? Because at the end of the day, authorities of government do not want certain things to be said, and that's human nature. You see what I mean? Sometimes when people are in opposition, it is when they want the media to be very tough. I mean, to me, if you want somebody else who has gone through it with people, look, you can count on me. I can say that. And so this is what I started by saying: expectations will always be there. Sometimes what constitutes the news may be something that may not make policymakers happy, but the news is the news. But we are happy that we move around, you know, and we go to press conferences. If you listen to radio talk shows, a lot of things are said, and the fact that people are not being dragged to court as a result of that is an indication that the press freedom that we all fought for to bring about is flourishing in Liberia.
Jonathan, when you have a piece of story, especially something that happened in your country where you live, how do you make a determination to get it out to the people? Do you not consider maybe the issue of your responsibility, your social responsibility? Don't you consider also the issue that you are a Liberian? What are some of the things that you consider before getting the information out to the public, to the outside world?
We consider a lot of things. Firstly, when does a journalist decide that he or she is a Liberian? Is it at a particular time of your existence? But obviously, we have social responsibility in journalism.
Surely.
You understand what I mean? And this just is not with us who report externally, even locally. Of course, like you said, there's press freedom, but the fact that the press freedom or freedom of expression, we are all warned that it doesn't mean that you will stand and say, Slumber here, for example, and shout fire, 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 because you are free to say that. So you have to be, all of us work on the principles and ethics of journalism. And it's not just us who report internationally, but coming back to your question in terms of, because sometimes I think what you're trying to put forward is the usual saying here that, you got to put your country first and this and that. Of course, it is because we put our country first that we have been able to ably, because mind you, when you are doing this, you also have to look at the concerns of people who are out there who will never be heard if you didn't have journalists in the country to report, while you are also there to talk about the policy of the authority of the day, you have to also know that there are some people who would never be heard if journalists were not around to do the story. You see, so if by thinking that you are a Liberian means you should suppress certain things from going, I would say no. You see what I mean? Of course, if it borders on national security, all over the world, there are certain stories that you don't just have to report if you know that it's going to cause harm to the society.
Let's assume there's a story, Paye-Layleh, that has to do with the economy, or that has to do with violence, constant and repeated violence, and you know exactly, we shall know also that getting such a story outside of the country, externally reporting such a story, may likely also drive away investors. How do you come up with the determination that that story has to go out?
But the issue is that people who create the situation should first know that when you do these things, you do them for people to know. Because what makes reporting, should I say difficult now, or even controlling this thing difficult now, is the happening on the social media. So the fact that the BBC will not report it does not mean that it will not get out there. You see what I mean? As we said, Facebook is basic. So it's not just the mainstream media that will send the information out there. So
Sure.
if you think that by being nationalistic, because in Liberia you are a nationalist, when you see corruption going on, you keep your mouth shut, you don't report it, then you are a nationalist. That's what people think in this country. When you see people stealing in broad daylight, suppressing their own people, to the extent that the situation is so dire, and you don't report it, then you are a nationalist. I mean, this interpretation of nationalism for some people in this country, but for some of us, we feel that the best that people can do is that do not create a situation where journalists will be compelled to send out a report. Because as I said, maybe it's 10, 15 years back, or you can decide that where this story is not good for our country, but as you are suppressing it, other people are carrying it.
So then how do we draw the line between this whole issue of your social responsibility and that of a story that you file and at the end will have a negative impact on your country?
Yeah, but social responsibilities of my understanding of that does not mean that if some issues are very glaring. And this is why I think the way to handle that is we all have to be responsible. Media people have to be responsible in what they do. And even people in authority have to be responsible. Because if these things are not done, they obviously will not be reported. But if the media community is so overwhelmed with some happiness, and you are sitting down because of your social responsibility, you don't want to report that because you say, this report is going to scare away investors. Because that's the angle you're talking. That if this story goes out there, people who want to come to Liberia to invest will not come. But why should people create a situation in the first place? So to me, it's a two-way street. We have to be guided by our social responsibility as journalists, and people who are also out there, especially policy makers, should also know that when these things are done, they are reported. Like, look, you will realize over that sometimes so many things happen here, the BBC does not report that.
Okay.
So many things happen. At times, the local media will pick it up. Almost everybody is only publishing online now. So if we decide that I don't want to report this story because it's going to create an image problem for our country, maybe somebody is reading it and saying, you don't newspaper somewhere. Your editors are reading and say, well, we are reading this in this paper and in other paper. Can you check on that?
So how do we avert the issue of not getting, of not being faced with a situation of driving away investors? Do we need a retreat of media institutions, especially the ones that are out there reporting online and likewise the BBC? Do we need a retreat to conscientize all of us that, look, this is our country and we need to know what we put out there?
Yeah, but retreat is good. Even workshops or seminar, whatever, is good. But what I think, Sabo, if news is not made, news is not reported.
So do we follow the politicians because they are making bad news and they are creating the scene and so do we follow them? Do we report whatever they say or whatever they do? Is that what you're saying, Paye-Layleh?
No, what I'm saying is that, firstly, it's about the country, right? And we are media people. I've always said that before becoming a journalist, I was a Liberian.
Surely.
And even if I leave journalism, I can never leave my nationality. I will continue to be a Liberian, resident in my country. And so what we've done over the years has been about highlighting happenings in the society, because what if we didn't report about the war, for example? Who would have come here to intervene? So if there was fighting, going back now, if there were fighting,
I think the world situation is a bit far different from the point I'm making.
You know, so what I'm saying is that it still comes back to the fact that we all are under obligation to do the right things, so that you know, so do you sometimes see the newspaper with no headline, with no critical story in the headline, and people don't buy that, right? At the end of the day, in the evening hour, you still see the people, the guy passing, the vendor passing with the paper, nobody has bought it. Because if the events are not created, if these things are not said, of course, they will never be published. So coming back to your question, retreats are good. People can sit down and brainstorm. People can sit down and look at issues nationally. I mean, journalists can be there. We had it many times. President Sally invited people before we sat down, we discussed. But I think the control of what goes out there is dependent on the way people conduct themselves in especially in official circles. You see what I mean? So it's a difficult situation, and what makes it even more difficult somewhat is that my experience has shown that when people are still in opposition, they don't realize that journalists should be nationalistic.
When they are in opposition.
When they are in opposition, they don't think like journalists, that Liberia is all we have. But it is when they are in the driver's seat now. Human by nature is selfish, so all of us, selfishness is part of human existence. So when you are still out there, you don't know that Liberia is all that we have. But when you are comfortably seated now in a position of government, it's time you feel that.
So how do we change that mindset, Paye-Layleh? How do we change that mindset on the part of the politicians that you're making reference to?
Well, this is what I'm saying. You know, once people look, if you sit down with anybody who is in the authority of government, their perception of a thing will be far different. You understand what I mean? And everybody, I've dealt with almost everybody who has come to power in this country when they were in opposition. I've dealt with them. And when they also took power, I also dealt with them. So, and see the multiplicity of media institutions that we have these days. You understand what I mean? When I started journalism 31 years ago, you know, with the Daily Observer, there were 3 newspapers in Nigeria. You know, and the contents could be regulated in a way, and how many radio stations were in Monrovia? About 3. ERBC, ERWA, and ESCN. And even getting into those institutions at the time was a real war. Before Daily Observer could take me to even start as a typist in the typesetting room, I sat an examination. I mean, entrance to enter there. So I'm just saying that the fact that we have advocated free press, and as a result of that, we now have about 40 newspapers in Liberia today whose editorial contents cannot be controlled by the Ministry of Information, who have their own editorial policy, means that some of what you are discussing, I mean, are just impossible. But what I think we can all do is to continue to exercise the responsibility that is, you know, attached to the process of journalism.
Okay.
You see? I mean, otherwise, we can sit and discuss. The Ministry of Information can have a discussion with the media community, but does it mean that if there are some situations in the country that are not really explained, the media will keep silent on that because you want to present yourself?
So then it brings me to the question of the media relationship with that of the government. How do you describe it?
Well, I think every government has their own public relation channel, and like the current president has a media team, you know, in his office and the Ministry of Information. But I think the relationship is good. The fact that there is this weekly press conference where the guys go to the Ministry of Information and they ask some questions. My assumption is that the relationship is good.
It's good. It's cordial.
That's my assumption. Right?
Assumption. What do you mean? It's your assumption.
Oh, but because I can't speak for everybody. You see what I mean? Because if we have to look at individual cases. I mean, the fact that one person may have a problem with the powers that be does not mean that you categorize the whole thing to mean that relationship with the government is not good.
Okay.
You understand what I mean? So if you read the editorials, you listen to some of the radio stations, people singing the praise of the government, it means that there are some media institutions that are happy with the way things are going, obviously. And if you look on the other side too, there are some who are not happy.
Let me then ask you, Paye-Layleh, you did a communication. In fact, that's the main reason for which we thought to invite you to the Press Union of Liberia. What really triggered your action?
Well, I felt I was really helping the situation, and the communication was very clear and to the point. You know, we live in a society where people live and feed on rumors and hearsay, they say, right? Most of what people hear out there are things that are not really happening. But because of the lack of information, people take these things and drive with it. Like when I was driving coming, you try even introducing me, you mistakenly said Jonathan Paye-Layleh of the Liberia Broadcasting System. Trust me, somebody may think, after hearing it from you, they may think that I work for EBC now. You understand what I mean? So what I'm saying, that communication was very simple. I was asking the Press Union President that, look, I'm a member of the Press Union of Liberia, one of the longest serving members
of the Press Union.
I joined in 1987. I served as a chairman of the press club. The press club was the one solely responsible for the Blinding Forum. I served as chairman of that. I also served as chairman of the Grievance and Ethics Committee of the PUL. I've sat down on some of the vetting committees many times to come up with our annual awards and all these things. And so I was telling the PUL president in that communication that, Mr. President, our president, President Weah, took over about 18 months ago. And for some reason, the promise that he made, because some of us dealt with President Weah so closely before he became president. I mean, we're closer to him than even people who feel that they are closer now. I mean, but that's okay. And some of the commitment that he made was that if he became president of this country, whatever that he was going to be will be open. He was going to talk to people regularly and all these things. And so what I said in that communication to the PUL was that if for some reason the press secretary and the deputy or the media team at the executive mansion, who by extension should actually be the media advisor to the president, are not encouraging him to have the regular press conference where some of the issues will come out, why not you organize certain forums, like maybe special edition of the Blinding Forum at Monrovia City Hall, where the president of Liberia will be invited to speak to the press on specific topics and some questions are asked. So in the absence of a regular, because we've been waiting for 18 months, we have not had one from the president of Liberia. Not one. I stand to be corrected, not one.
An address to the nation, or no, are you talking about an interactive discussion?
Interactive discussion with where some of the questions, there are certain issues that would just be left to the rumor mills if you don't have an opportunity to sit and discuss with the president and ask him some questions, because it's not everything about the presidency that the information minister will address. Or it's not everything, every rumor or every allegation about President Weah that the Minister of Information or
the press secretary.
The press secretary has their own limitation. He speaks for the president of Liberia, but if there are some, don't forget, when you are president of a country now, the line between your private life and your official life is almost invisible, right? It's very thin, very, very thin. And so if there are certain rumor or whatever allegation about the president in terms of what he's doing privately, and it's just rumor, when you ask the president, they have their own version to say. So I think if there's an opportunity for the media to sit with the president, and just 1 second of clarity will put the whole issue to rest. But if you just leave that squarely with the press secretary, who of course, if he's having a regular media briefing, the caveat always is any question that should be asked should be related to the topic on a discussion or
now,
discussion.
Why if you, Jonathan Paye-Layleh, reporting for the BBC. Why, if you made an attempt
former communication
to the office of the president, asking for this sort of audience as to clarify some of the issues you have? Why have you did that?
Thank you so much for that question. If people who work in the presidency are fair, if they check on their desks, if they find less than 3-4 communications from me seeking an appointment to have interview with the president, call me a liar. My attempt to talk to President Weah started as far back as before Sam Mana was appointed press secretary. You know who was coordinating the press activity? Dwana Sion. You know Dwana Sion? Dwana Sion worked at the National Housing Authority there during that period of transition. I saw Boyman one time, even the press conference, the President Weah first address to the nation on that Saturday. I mean, to respond to the declaration for that Boyman and other people coordinated it, right? You were there. But prior to that, the person who was coordinating the media affairs in the office of Ambassador Weah was Dwana Sion. I wrote him officially. When he could not do that, the communication was forwarded to Sam Mana when Sam Mana took over. And now only President Weah, the First Lady, communication asking that I should say with the First Lady to do an interview with him. So I'm saying that to tell you in short that you will see about 4 communications.
Were there follow-ups made?
Follow-up, of course. I mean, if Solo Kekwe, if you listen to the program, he will tell you. One of the most recent communications saying was when, you can remember there was this team that came when President Weah marked it's 1 year in the office. I wrote to the presidency in November of 2018, right? Asking for an interview in January the following year. 2 months to the inauguration. And I even went to the extent of listening to the question that I wanted to ask. That the president is about to mark his first anniversary. I need to ask him some questions to form part of the report and bring out to even play the interview himself. When Solo Kekwe took over, that communication was forwarded to him. He confirmed to me that the communication had been sent to him. But that request was turned down. Then in place of that, there was a team like...
What do you mean by turned down?
They said no. When the request is when there's a no to a request, how do you call that? It was turned down.
Officially communicated to you?
Communicated to you.
Listen to me now. If I request an interview with the president, and the press secretary is saying that there is a team coming from London to interview the president. So instead of him granting you, you can liaise with the team that is coming.
The very BBC team, right?
The very BBC team. But listen to me. Don't get it wrong. I live on the ground here. For your information, Boyman, I know the point from the point from which you're speaking. But let me inform you. The BBC is bigger than you think. There are some programs on the BBC that you don't even monitor anywhere in Africa. So the fact that one or two persons are coming from the BBC does not represent what I do in Africa, what I do here in Liberia. I'm the guy on the ground from 1993, and the person on the ground here. The African service is exclusively a different program completely.
Now, Jonathan, let me hold you there.
Because so to answer the question, a lot of requests. I don't want to be sentimental about this thing. If you didn't ask the question, the answer would not have come out. I would have just let it go to pretend that we all are okay here and things will be okay. But just like you asked the question, they were even answering. So I read it many times. Even communication, asking for interview with the First Lady. The last one happened to have been when she was launching the His program here. I asked this guy, Douglas, Arthur Douglas, asking if I didn't write that, okay, the way to cover this program for me is for me to just say with the First Lady. He said, oh yeah, we'll make sure that I should have it. He didn't get back to me.
Jonathan,
so
have you inquired? Have you thought? Have you sat down to think or realize that, or reach a determination that why Jonathan Paye-Layleh, who is on the ground, will do a communication to the office of the president asking for audience, and he's now granted the audience, but Jeff Konagi and also international journalists will come and then give them that opportunity. Have you started to realize or to ask yourself?
The first thing I would say is that the president of Liberia can decide who to deal with who not to deal with. You see what I mean? It's not for me to answer that question. I watched the
No, apparently, the reason why I ask, apparently you sit down to say, well, is it something I'm doing wrong that apparently it's not going down well with the president or with the country, and someone else has been chosen over me? That's how I'm asking the question.
So I will continue to say I cannot read the minds of all the people that you are talking about. If somebody thinks that I've done wrong, you don't keep me in suspense. I don't have to go asking what have I done. I mean, if there's something that I've done wrong, they should be the one to confront me with that this is the reason why we are not granting you audience. But as I said from the beginning of supper, I don't want to sound as somebody who is complaining. You understand what I mean? If the question had not been asked, I was not going to answer that. I watched the...
But you indirectly complain by sending that communication to the press union of Liberia.
But the communication to the press union was not job of myself. You know what I mean? My personal communication seeking an audience with the president being turned down, to me it's okay. But I was saying that for the benefit of the Liberian people. So should we continue to just spread rumors about certain things that may not be true? If the president of Liberia cannot face the media to be given some questions, there was a statement, for example, from Samuel Toy, that the president of Liberia came to the presidency with between $89 and $90 million. I listened to him. I'm not misquoting. He said that. And when the issue of the condominiums, I mean the 47 complex buildings or so around, when that issue came about, Mr. Mobile Model of the ruling party said that the president was undertaking the projects now because he felt that the country is not safe. It is now good to invest in this country. Mobile Model said that as chairman of the ruling party. But as he speaks, sober, the president of Liberia has, with all this speculation and allegation, has never said anything. Whether in fact he even owns the property that they are talking about. So is there anything wrong with the president making himself available to the media to sometimes put the matter to rest, to address that? So you would just leave it to people who will say, what if what somebody said, for example, is not true? Why if it is not true that the president came to the president with nothing?
But if you think there was some truism in that, don't you think that Jeff would have asked that question?
But let me tell you, you keep talking about that story that Jeff Kulangi did with President Weah. It was a pure public relations something. I watched it.
So you don't want to do public relations?
Send it to me.
Yeah, in other words.
It was a friendly something that probably was pre-arranged. That critical questions should not be asked. It should be a friendly conversation to the end. At the end, they hug and they were even singing, keep on trying song, which is very good. But what I'm saying, interview can have different stages. You can have. There's nothing wrong with doing public relations interview. You see what I mean? Like if you do a celebrity interview, for example, like a musician, it's a friendly interview or so and so forth. But President Weah is the president of Liberia. He needs to be asked some critical questions. I'm not going to sit down before you and start to ask about the kind of clothes you wear. That's not the question I want to ask you. The same way they criticize other people who were in power here. And I was behind him with microphone. But man, they were not there. I was behind him. Everything that he wanted to be said, we said it. I can bring you some tip where I interviewed President Weah. I even said to this particular area, I want you to play it. I want you to play it. Because it was so critical that he wanted it to be played, and we laugh about that. So the same way when you were opposition, they feel that we should be critical about other people when you're in authority. We think President Weah should be available to answer some of the critical questions.
In essence, I come in, so in essence,
the time to do promotional interview.
You don't want to do PR interview with the president.
But we did a lot of public relations for him. How do you think Sepp Blatter became FIFA president? President Weah sat down here in Monrovia. He had wanted to travel all over Africa to go campaign for Sepp Blatter to be FIFA president. But just 3-minute interview that they were in here where he endorsed Joseph Sepp Blatter. People from Congo DR, everywhere in South Africa, they call, they say one judge has spoken, that Sepp Blatter became president.
Because of the interview. But well, don't you want to do a PR interview with him? So that at least he can get some foreign aids coming to the country.
No, but right now, President Weah is the president of Liberia. And the hurts are there. There are so many people who feel there are so many things that are happening in the president of Liberia should address. I mean, of course, when he used to come here, there was nothing that he did there when he was a celebrity that we didn't promote. I mean, coming to even launch the mob on Rana Street and so many things like that.
Let me ask you, what is your intention if you were to sit before the president? Do you want to promote? Do you want to highlight the plight of the people, or do you just want to do a critical interview that that the BBC can play over and over again?
If I sat before the president, I would ask him questions whose answers matter to the Liberian people. Because there's not a joke. The presidency of Liberia, so we are going through difficult times. And sometimes, out of misunderstanding, people give their own interpretation to things that are happening. And maybe some of the things that you're talking cannot be true. You understand? I live in Liberia, I'm a Liberian, I live here. And so, if the president of Liberia, because an opportunity to sit with him is a rare opportunity, it's not somebody that you can just run into him and start to ask him anything. So, if President, we have decided to grant you an interview maybe one time a year. So, all these issues that are hanging, the complaints that people have, some misunderstanding, certain things that may not be true, should we not take that as an opportunity to ask him a question as we sit down there and talk about? Of course, we promoted him many times. Before he took over Sobo, I went to Gibraltar 5 times in a row. Go there and ask everybody. Promotion is something that is coming to power of the. His cousin Rebecca is saying he has a go and ask.
Journalism, quote unquote, have you spoken with people and try to have you engaged people regarding your practice of journalism? Because in some quarters there are people who think that Paye-Layleh has a credibility problem.
Okay. Well, so I don't know if there's anybody who can do anything that they without coming under criticism. You see what I mean? But what I know is that how long have I done this work? I started 1993. 1993. I'm about 25 years now, right? What I know is that without trying to blow my own trumpet, that some people can work for the BBC for, or who can contribute report to them for the 2 weeks, and they're not happy with the work they do. They tell them to go. So if 25 years with them and they keep writing and coordinating.
So why do you attribute that to?
Well, it comes back to the issue of credibility. You see what I mean? So, look, criticisms are good. You see what I mean? So, can we ever do any of these things without coming under criticism from some quarter? But at the end of the day, your conscience should tell you that you are. And the criticism sometimes it comes out of ignorance. If you don't understand the way certain things work, sometimes you will criticize. Like, I've always set myself as an example. If I enter an operation theater at GFK, I will not understand why this material is there unless I ask the people who are doing that. But we are in a country where everybody in Liberia is a journalist or knows about journalism. So you will always hear that you should have said it, or the other person should have said that. So, but that's part of the game.
So you're not bothered by the way people think about you at times.
Not at all.
Paye-Layleh has a credibility problem.
But if somebody faces me with some specific allegation, for example, like some misunderstanding that they used to have when the war was going on and all these things, and if I have the opportunity, I explain sometimes just like understanding. If you say one thing and maybe somebody did not understand and they went and give it their own interpretation. So if that is considered credibility problem, and like I'm fighting hard for people to enter Greystone compound, bombarding the American embassy, people will report that 16,000 people are stranded before your gate, and they open the gate that afternoon. In the process, 4 persons were trampled upon and killed just in rushing to the fence, and later that afternoon, bombs falling into the compound and killing scores of people. And BBC is interviewing me late in the evening, and I'm telling the BBC that, well, we don't know the exact number of casualties, but what I know is that prior to the launch of the bomb, there was a stampede when people were rushing to the fence, in which 4 persons were trampled upon and killed. The few guys who listened to the news said, Jonathan Paye-Layleh said the bomb killed only 4 persons. And you have 18,000 people getting that misunderstanding. Oh, they kind of the number of persons that died. They said Jonathan Paye-Layleh. They say. So if some of these things are what people call credibility, I can just say I'm sorry for them. I'm just sorry. I'm just so sorry for the country that we are in.
Now,
let me just come in.
Okay.
You know, I just want to ask you this very important question,
Okay.
which happened recently with regards to your reportage on the Lookington issue. I personally had, I think I had a problem with the manner in which you reported that story. My specific issue is that you portray Madam Tilia Ure as the victim of the entire incident, and you try to like bring a voice wherein the president was just being sarcastic in his comment some month ago, where he launched a campaign in Monserrato prior to that election or prior to that incident, saying that anybody can say, oh, the man say he can defeat me, I'm going to defeat him, I'm going to beat that man in this election. And that's what the president meant. But you portray the story like the president was authorizing or instigating the people to go after Tilia.
You know,
that's what I see the story.
Boy, man, they say when you haul rope can haul bush, right? Hey, you wanted to discuss that issue, right? Thank you for bringing that question.
No, I want to ask you. I want to know why you portray the story that way.
What I'm saying is, I'm glad that you are the one bringing it out so that we can talk into it. I didn't say anything that was never said by President Weah. I can bring the tape, you listen to it. President Weah clearly and very clearly, when he was addressing the rally at that time, said those things.
But he didn't tell the people to go and beat Tilia.
But did I say that? He said, we play his verse saying, you need to flog that little girl. Word for word. Mama, you need to flog that little girl.
Not to beat her, not to physically flog her.
But you are closer to him, maybe you want to give a different... I didn't say that President Weah ordered people to go flogging. We just said that...
No, you portray the story as if he was practically ordering the people to do that.
But how do you know, from as close as you are to the president, how do you know what exactly he meant when he said that? You are closer to him.
Because that's politics. Anybody can say. I could say your insurer will flog Jonathan Paye-Layleh in this election. Does that mean I'm telling the people to flog you physically? That's an electoral jibe. Anybody use it. We all in Liberia will do it.
Something. You know what? I'm glad that you are a media person. There's something to go prominence in journalism. There are certain things some people can say out there, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. The same way where there can be an accident in which 20% die, but nobody cares. But if there was just an attempted accident, the whole world will know, right? Prominence. The news about the BBC normally does not cover the little by-election here and there. But issue around the election, it was sometimes matters to. Otherwise, even if I wanted to report it on my own, they would have taken interest in that. The whole thing about the teller you read something is, Brahma, I don't just report, I don't just paraphrase people, therefore I'm very careful in what I put out there. And as I said, you brought the issue also, we're going to talk it. The issue about
just to clarify,
attack on Teller Ure, Teller Ure at Lookington, or whatever happened.
First of all, I want to know, Mr. Paye-Layleh. Let me just interject.
You want to ask something?
Did you do your own background investigation to come out with a conclusion that Madam Tilia Ure was actually attacked?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Okay, so now coming back to...
But your story... Okay, continue.
Yeah, but I reported. Okay, so coming back to your question, prominence is very important. Look, if you listen to Ambassador Weah, President Weah, doing that something, apart from saying, you flawed that little girl, what did he say at that something? And Boyman, if you were happy with that, there are so many people who are not happy with that. And I'm sorry, we got to talk.
There were thousands of people out there celebrating.
When you even said openly that the only way a Euro will win election in Liberia was if George Weah was not around. So politically, you should give it a different.
That is, we will go to election, and as long as I'm president, I will make sure I will support my candidate. So that no, but that's it. Only you gonna interpret it in a negative way. Any lay common Liberian man will understand that he didn't mean it in a negative perspective.
But in reporting what we said, we didn't go giving interpretation to.
But you interpreted it in that story, Mr. Paye-Layleh.
And to me,
you portrayed the story that that the president had earlier advised or authorized his supporters to flog Tilia Yuri.
No, listen, if you just heard
you joined it. I listened to the news.
No, but that's
why I brought it up.
No, this is why he said he authorized someone to be the way the news.
He said the president had earlier during the political rally told his supporters, and you play the voice. That's how you report it.
But the way you are putting it is not why it was written. But the fact of the matter is that what President Weah said about Teda Yuri, or what was reported, and what he said about the Yuri family. But you are saying that he is saying that so long you'll be campaigning for his candidate, this and that. So can you campaign for your candidate without necessarily saying that a whole family will never get elected in Liberia? So long you are sorry. How do you look at that as a Liberian?
Okay, so let's jump over that because that's history now. That's history. Let's go back to the issue of your communication. So you did the communication to the president. Did you get redress?
The president of the press union sent me a line. He said that was good, and that even during the awards night, he mentioned something like that. And by the way, the awards night again, the president was just doing job. I mean, Obama was there. He said that during his deliberation at the awards night, he talked about that, but he was thinking that he should do it more formal. And this thing is going to help. If the conservation is going to help, the president of Liberia has to speak to his people. And that's speaking to the people, not the annual.
I'm coming from the situation. I'm coming. Let me just say something. One minute. One thing I want to, I don't know whether you're quite aware, that everyone or every leader that comes in has his own or her own style of leadership. I'm coming. Yeah. Let's assume. I'm coming, Jonathan. Let's assume that President Sirleaf, former President Sirleaf, was speaking to the media religiously, and President Weah now wants to do that through his media team. What is wrong with that?
But these are suggestions I would make in good faith. And if the president does not want to speak to the people through organized media or conferences, what can we do to him? So, but we have to bring this thing out. Maybe he will take some cue from there and say, well, I see some sense in what he's saying, or I think you guys should be organizing some conferences. Let me talk to our people. If he decides to sweep under the rug, it will be that way. I mean, we cannot take it to court. But President Weah promised us that you're going to be as open to the media as possible.
And he has been doing that.
I've followed his events, or even the only party in this country whose convention are going to the CDC. Buchanan. We slept there, right there on Basaha campus. I slept in my vehicle. I mean, to tell you that, because he came to the presidency as a celebrated, you see what I mean? The same reason why everything that he did, even before becoming president, was news. He's a newsmaker.
Before I open the lines, don't you think that you said we have to raise this issue so that they come to our people, but don't you think that communication or your point or your position, don't you think it's just quite illogical? Because if you realize that, I mean, if I'm reporting for the BBC now, I will not report as Paye-Layleh reported, because Paye-Layleh and Sobo, they are not the same. So if other leaders, or maybe the leader before President Weah was speaking to the media religiously, personally, and President Weah thought that he can do that through his media team, why raise an issue that seems illogical? That doesn't have...
It's not illogical. As I said, I didn't want to be selfish. This thing was not about me. My personal communication that I sent and didn't use any fruit, I still lying down there. So if it were personal, I would say, well, I've tried, let me sit down. But I was saying, to talk to the media community. I'm to talk to the Liberian people through the media. You know how many questions people invite President Weah to this program one evening and open the line.
President Weah will be invited. I know
Please invite him.
on the Bumper Show, you'll be invited. That one rest show.
2 hours. Then you sit down here, take the first 30 minutes to talk.
But what do you say? It's a PR interview that we'll be doing with President Weah because Jeff Kolagi was arranged in that faction.
But EIBC, obviously, you have to support the policy of the government. So if he comes, this is what I'm saying.
In a fair and objective way, like we've invited you to do.
Where you can put whatever you want to put on it.
08805140996.
Invite the president to come here.
Or 07760899713. Again, 07760899713 or 08805140996. We have as guests Mr. Jonathan Paye-Layleh of Stringer of the BBC. So you can now put your calls if you wish to partake on this program. It's your turn.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Your name and where you calling from?
Good evening, Robert George. And good evening, Woman, Chief Woman. Good evening, Mr. Paye-Layleh. My name is Uchuku Obuswa Uchuku. So, I get a trying more political than a journalist. If this peace that we have in this country has to be restored, if it should be restored, the journalists have a major role to play in our country. Because when we came as a country, 14 years, we did a lot of things. Now, the issue about reporters in our country is becoming non-professional, more especially when you listen to the BBC. Let's go back to the 16th Pedal Saga. When you saw that reporter, you will notice that the BBC reporter reported the story, but they refused to report the fact on the story that stated that no international panel is supposed to appear. He did not report that from opposition angle. He did not report the issue that has to do with what on the building that you raised. Classified Liberian and project. But the issue was President Weah. Where President Weah said on the US election that Democrat statement was reported on BBC. Now, what Kumi said, Liberia, they are going to take over Liberia and cover people. He did not report it. So what we are telling Mr. Paye-Layleh and other journalists in our country, this country is ours. And we are elected one of ours. This is the time that everyone is fighting to run this president to move this country forward. Let us stay away from pessimism, insinuation, and it doesn't put the past story on the international scene.
Thank you very much. This is hello call on the line. Hello, call.
Really?
Yes, sir. Your name and where you calling from?
My name is Tony Dino, Bravo Dino, they're calling from Birmingham, based on number 3 days Erie.
Go right ahead quickly.
Thank you, Papa. I listened to the veteran journalist. I listened to him well. Actually, I have a few questions for him. Once upon a time, I listened to one of the celebrated Akon when he was a press conference with other journalists around Africa. And he was telling them I so many things always happen in the United States of America, but you're not here. Journalists reporting it. So I was pointing about we are in Africa, we always be so bad things about Africa and not reporting the good things. And once upon a time, we always listen to BBC when I heard on BBC that people were in the president's office and they were reporting about the veteran journalist who is killed. And he said for me, he fell on speculation. So I want to know in his own mind, was he doing well for the nation? Or he feel like he want to start the president or like the country want to call? Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, I'm sure he's taking note. You will respond to that. Let me take this other call on the line quickly. Hello, caller.
Let me answer them so that
Good afternoon.
You have to take note, please.
Good afternoon. I'm going to you, Burma, and to your studio guest. Yeah, I don't really have a comment, but what I want to ask the studio guest a question. I have to do with he talking about reporting issue. You don't get report anything to BBC when you report something that is tangible. When a political leader from the opposition party called the Liberian court roaches, was it not important for him to report to the BBC or to even discuss it locally that what he did was wrong to have 1 or 2 or 7 minute discussion also? He didn't do. But he only local president, we are going on the air to say that little girl, your flogger, that he took to be an issue to play before he could play the issue that took place between this case and team. I think it was unfair. I want you to please let us speak to that. Thank you.
He will speak to that. He's taking note. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Your name and where you calling from quickly?
Stanley Swan, and I phoned in from Tasmanville this evening.
Go right ahead.
Good afternoon to Ability. Topper and Wetman, you see, the way Honorable Ability reported, I think it is based on the way the president spoke at the rally at the launch of the CDC campaign. So, it's supposed us to go and beat that politically. But politically, the president spoke that the party of the gas is being left with the ordinary people who are in the district to beat up politically. And if you look at that statement, it has a lot of interpretation. In other ways, that's why the people try to physically make sure that they attack us physically in that district. And that's what happened on Saturday. And you're so happy. And that's what Paye-Layleh reported. And I think Paye-Layleh should not be blamed for a reportage of the peace of the country or suffer. It is relying on the head of the president, and the president should do everything possible so that the peace can be respected and that we cannot be drawn back to where we came from some 40 years ago.
Okay, so let's take this on the line. I'm sure you made a point already. Hello, caller. Yeah, hello. Your name?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Casey Collins.
Let's hear.
And let me say hi to the studio guests. Let me say this. Mr. Paye-Layleh is doing his job. He's not a PRO for the government to paraphrase whenever the president speaks. Let's get that clear. The man reported exactly what the president said. What do they want him to do? They want to paraphrase what the president said so the other have misinterpretation of what he said. So, in my mind, Mr. Paye-Layleh, you have been reporting for the past 25 years. Your institution have never had problem with you that some of the institutions in Liberia, where when the report goes out, they got to go apologize on the media about what they're saying. Keep on a good job. Waiting, you are not in the business of causing chaos. It's been that your intervention, even in our bid away saga, would have been minimized today. You guys put yourself together, you want to beat away and you make sure you're standing to the institution. Why you can't understand? Why if it don't go your way, me is not well? I mean, this is wrong.
Okay,
thank you very much, Alexander Biere, for that.
Okay, let's hear from this other caller. Hello. Yes, your name?
Hello?
Your name? Your name?
I'm going to be for the number 13 in the country.
Okay, let's hear from you quickly.
Yeah, thank you for this starting this topic. Quickly go to the issue that I had to do with issue number 15 and choose the two of the best person that I'm very much interested and presented the topic. As you said, one of the presenters was engaging on the topic that the management should present the president on the national scene was very much happening. If you join the analysis of the president's statement that starts to show values that we care, that he made mention of the little girl being flat politically, and he's going to subscribe as the physical force, now I'm going to come back into the president in journalist. That was not the intent of the president interpretation of the president. The president tragedy is nobody in politics. So it was on that basis that the president that she must be stopped by his supporters. But you can't do a recording that the way the president was quickly trying to screen the president. It's very much unfortunate. I just want to say it's unfortunate. Thank you.
Many thanks, and let's take just two more calls and then we wrap it up. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, I'm George Plato. I'm calling from Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to know whether when the incident took place, or whether the journalist incident were he on the scene, or were he on the scene? Because more often he always reporting from reliable source. So I want to know whether was he on the scene, and then. The president's statement that you were playing that day, was it the same day he made a statement, or once should you go back and start playing that statement?
Okay, he will answer. Let's take the last caller. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Your name and where are you calling from, quickly?
Hi, my name is Mr. Franklin Aaron, calling from Introductory.
Okay, let's hear from you.
Aaron, thank you for the show this evening. I want to ask your studio guest, when the opposition community made a statement when it is winning the senatorial seat, it will be the end of President William Kenny. Did you report it to EFDC and not EFDC, also to the international media? And the second one has to do with the senior issue in President William's office. When people came out to say that senior was in President William's office, they didn't go there to do background investigation to make sure that senior was in President William's office before he reported. Thank you.
Maybe I was afraid of the snake. Let's take the last one. Hello? Yes, sir. Your name and where are you calling from, quickly?
This is Melvin Nico calling from the DC when you come out of county.
Okay, sir. Go ahead.
Also, I would like to say thank you to the people who staff here and JP Burman along with the city of Paye-Layleh. But one thing I want to know, is that everybody should sing praises to the president, or Paye-Layleh should say about PR to the president, that the question Burman posed to Paye-Layleh. The president was at a political rally. If you think as a president, you are not the president of an institution, which is the CDC. You are the president of the whole nation. So don't you think your speech with the people you control in the country now, or the political party, you don't think statement coming from you have the propensity of sparking problems into the political terrain for which we find ourselves in? Because if he is a law or president that is saying honor his martial and no unit or whichever is going to become an elected person in this country, I want to say this. It's going to be example in the way of the ruling establishment. I don't want people to sugar cream the president's action when it goes wrong. Then let them represent us to nothing. And up to now, I don't think it's institution and going into credit department. So let's just use them and all people know they work in the comfort of the president. So anything president report of there, he look at it before reporting it. So every prevailing situation draws the counter reaction. The statement of the president is not bringing the problem to be in that particular issue.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure you made your point already. Let's go back to Paye-Layleh to respond to all of the tones and tones of course.
Maybe I need to come back again. But thank you for this opportunity, and thanks to those who ask questions. Firstly, people said that the opposition people also said something that was never reported. I started by saying from the beginning, that what we send out of our countries in different parts of Africa, which is a little portion of what is happening there. And what did I also say about prominence? When people are in opposition, they say so many things. You think it was everything that Mama Modu and other people said when they were in opposition?
But you were reporting President Weah when you were in opposition.
No, but listen, President Weah, what you don't know is that we follow President Weah not because of a political ambition, but because he's celebrated. I mean, so he was a world-class president. Everything that he said was new. So adding politics to it just made it even bigger. President Weah was somebody that even if he just went somewhere shaking hands with people, it was news. So the difference between him and all the people you are talking about there, how many persons, if you stand on the street of Accra to say, how many persons there will really capture the name that you are talking about there? So President Weah is far different from all these people. And now, if Mr. Cummins ever said that Congo people, or he said
you already said it that the government, people in the government, the cockroaches, they were cockroaches.
Yeah, but please tell me, do you think that everything that opposition people say? I mean, look, Burma, you were in journalism before even becoming the president or best friend, then you are here. You see, everything that comes from the opposition community that people will capture out there, Otherwise, when people stood here and said they would make Monrovia Black Friday or Black Monday, they would
I think.
So I'm coming to what I'm saying. The question we're asking, I need to really.
Okay. I just wanted to make some clarity
so
on what you're saying.
The difference between President Weah and the people you're talking about, that President Weah is the president of Liberia. If Benina Ure convoy is coming here, I don't park off the road. If Alexander Kwame enters this building, if I don't want to stand up, I will not stand up.
So does that give you the audacity to deliberately slant something that he didn't mean to portray him negatively?
No, listen to me. You're still getting this thing wrong. Maybe I need to have something.
No, because my concern is the statement the president made. You portray in a negative way. You deliberately move from the issue.
There was absolutely
the interpretation of that statement in your report was wrong. Because we still got more time, but he got to admit that he did not treat the presidency fairly.
Yeah, you
apologize to Liberian people that can move forward.
I know you got to fulfill your.
No, it's not about fulfilling. It's about being patriotic, being sincere.
Patriotism does not make you laugh. There was absolutely nothing positive about what President Weah said at that rally. Let me look you.
But he didn't mean it in a negative way.
But you are interpreting what the president said. I'm not in the business of interpreting. If somebody says that a Ure will never win presidency in this country, there is no way, even if I put it in my vernacular that you will not understand, there's no different way to interpret that.
Mr. Paye-Layleh, you have concerns that you need to respond to.
I'm sorry your desire will not be met because you came with the decision.
No. One thing I can say is that your reportage on that very issue, you portray it in a negative way to make the president look bad.
You have said this thing a million times.
And you owe the Liberian people that apology.
No, but you're getting this thing wrong. If you can do a favor to President Weah, as a young man, sit down with him as a media person and even talk to him about how to even address issues out there. That's the best thing you can do for him. Instead of, Boyman, I don't want to go beyond this thing. You know what making things?
The people ask you whether there was snake in the president's office.
I will count that if you were not bringing all these things, I would have addressed all that thing long time.
Yeah. Because myself, way in Kenya, somebody was asking me that they found snake in the president. That's how you portray the story.
You know what? Boyman, I'm saying you will leave the studio disappointed because the promise that you made that you're going to come put issue forward will never be.
I didn't even know you were coming here. I just got to know about
that's what I'm saying. Okay, so coming to the snake issue. But before the snake issue, let me say again that there was nothing absolutely positive because you said the president said something and we portray it negatively. Word for word, we played the president's voice. It was only voiced over because the quality of recording was poor, but word for word is what we played there. So there's nothing that was there. So coming back to the snake issue, I will print out. In fact, you got your phone there. Google the story right now. Jonathan Paye-Layleh or President Weah's snake story. Every word in that story is snake topic that is being quoted. When we heard about the snake story at the executive mansion, the news went all around it. I was not the first person to report it. What I did, I picked up the phone and called the presidential press secretary. He confirmed, and if what I'm saying to you now will be different from what you read that story, call me back here and challenge me. Smith Tobe confirmed to me, and he was quoted by the Associated Press and the BBC as saying that yes, two snakes were seen in the walls of at the security decks there, and because of that, the president is working from home until the building can be fumigated. It took 2 weeks. When the president returned to office, we reported that he had returned to office. If you read that story, if there's anything that we quoted the press secretary. The press secretary confirmed that snake was seen in the walls of the building. And because of that, the president was working from home. There was nothing there that I created. And the issue of someone saying if I went to where the incident happened in District 15, there was a statement from the executive mansion for your information, Boyman. There was a statement coming from the executive mansion confirming that there was an incident and the president launched an investigation.
The question is, did it go there?
But listen to me now. You don't have a news gathering, right? News gathering. Do you have to necessarily go? If Tara Ure calls me up to say, I was assaulted.
It depends on how you report the story.
If I see the video,
you reported the story as if you were on the scene.
No.
And Tara Ure bring you a video that she doctored and and brought to you, and you reported out to the BBC.
Listen to me. Don't. We are on the national platform.
Yeah.
You're misinformation.
No, it's not misinformation. Your own statement you just said.
I said if there's a video. So when I say there's a video, then it means that Terry Ure gave it to me.
You saw a video from Terry Ure.
No, I'm saying there is a video. But man, I know you fighting hard to
I'm just doing what is supposed to be done.
No, boy man, listen to me. I mean, if I know that this thing was going to be, I will come prepared to really give you some education today.
No, you cannot educate me.
But let me tell you,
you cannot educate me.
But let me say something. You can fight tooth and nail. I mean, you can try as much as possible to defend whatever you want to defend. Journalism is journalism. I saw the video about happening. Video went viral, and we went beyond the video investigator. And it was authenticated by a statement from the presidency that this thing actually happened, and we are instructed the justice.
How did the president authenticate that video?
I'm telling you, there was a statement. I'm telling you,
there should be some quote. You're a journalist. You should be able to give us a specific quote that made you to believe that.
Okay, I think.
No. With that ended, we still have more time. We still have some time. We still have some time. No, you cannot be unfair to me like that. No, he made. I'm going back point by point. This is about this is about our country. We no, you're not being fair here now. You're not being fair. No, you're not.
I'm being fair.
No, you are not.
We don't do a show this way.
You are not being fair.
You're listening to the Bumbo Show rented on the OBC. You know, sometimes we got to agree and disagree. Okay, Paye-Layleh, so you can respond to all of those questions.
Okay, so
and okay, how you go.
Yeah, and sorry for the interruption. Obviously, we should be prepared for these things. So as I was saying, all these things boiled down to whether he went there, he did not go there, opposition people said this. And the answer again, sober, is when the president of Liberia speaks, we all listen. The world listens. So if one opposition person were passing, on the road to say, well, we'll make sure that this thing happens, an opposition person who may never have the opportunity of becoming who President we are is today. So I'm sorry that this simple, low-level journalism, maybe some people still have not known about prominence. So whatever people say either in the opposition quarters, I think that someone will listen to it. But you don't have to necessarily go out there. How many presidents, for example, if someone say we'll make Congo people, or we'll make sure that our Congo people, so what should I say on the BBC? How many presidents in Kenya, for example, will even understand why you're talking about Congo people taking over Liberia or so on and so forth? But when the president of the country speaks, of whatever he says makes news. So that's the president. And so let me again challenge everybody who will just Google the whole story about the snake being at the mansion. If there is one word there that didn't come from the deputy press secretary, because I was not there, and I wanted to know what was happening, and that's a source of news. The press secretary to the president told me that, okay, Jonathan, this is what happened, and as a result, the president is working from home. And when the president returned to work 2 weeks later, somebody told me that 1 week the president was going to be in the office. But 2 weeks later, he went there, we reported that the president had returned to office. But again, I don't know whether there's something there that we didn't touch apart from, Ojugu said the same thing about good news. Is that any Ojugu, the first caller, the guy with a very long name. News as a whole. So sometimes you guys should take time off to just tell people what news is. What excites people out there is what makes news. If we're sitting down in the studio right now, because people keep saying that when good things are happening, people don't report that. Of course, good things should be happening. When good things are happening, do they really excite people? If the three of us are sitting down in the studio and we hear that there's somebody standing across the road there at total dancing, will it mean anything to us? Of course. But if you hear that there's some accident on the road, is it now when people will rush there to go see? So is that good something? But it is what people will run to. So it's part of journalism. Governments are elected to build roads. Governments are elected to make sure that the health systems will work. If these things are working, you don't have to get on BBC to say, oh, so you want me to announce in Liberia on BBC that okay, the government of Liberia has started making salary current. So somebody is sitting down in the Gambia says, but what is it that we are hearing? Of course, if you delay to pay salary, boy man, that's the time that's all to make news. If you don't pay people, I mean, their due benefit is what makes news, because if you get up in the morning and give full money to your family, is there any or talk in the house? But if you didn't need full money, this money is when the family will be talking. So sometimes outside of the fantasy and all these things, so you guys should sometimes help the authorities by explaining some of these things to people. If I have the opportunity to be around President Weah, I would do what people that Boyman are not doing. I would tell him, Mr. President, this is how you should be proceeding. Instead of waiting until when it's too much to come up with a long Facebook post expressing frustration that this is how they are treating us. If they were treating us fairly, we're going to be sharing, we'll be comparing notes with other people who are not working.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate your time this evening. Thank you very much.
So please, someone invite the president of Liberia. If he doesn't want to have press conference, invite them to the
No, one day I'm sure the president will come here. We'll discuss rest assured.
And talk to him. As a veteran in the area, talk to him. It's not everybody who claps for you supports you. They're clapping for people here. It's happening around everybody here and wanted to see their back.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jonathan. We really appreciate your being here today. They got follow you, brother. Yeah,
it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, it should. Because I'm doing nothing wrong, so I can bow down to censorship. Okay, my brother, how you doing, man? I know.
I'm doing good, Sabo. We're doing good.
You know, sometimes we have to, disagree to agree, and that's the reason why these sort of platforms, they are here.
I just wanted to.
It's our responsibility to ensure that people tune in and we use the platform for the purpose of harping and bringing up discussions for public interactions, and these sort of discussions help all of us, not only the ruling establishment, but it helps all of us. It helps all of us because it tells us our wrong, and it also allows us it helps us to understand, to know where we need to improve and where we need to not. So they are good.
Yeah, you're right. For me, I strongly believe that it is always important that we give opportunities to people who will think are always propagating the positive images out there, so that we can actually find out their motives, so that they can actually clarify some of those things that they report out there, more especially people like journalist Jonathan Paye-Layleh. So this is the reason why I was asking him those tougher questions, because I wanted to know, for instance, Sabo, I still believe that his way of reporting on that very issue was a little more biased. He didn't take his own time. It's just that you interjected it. He didn't take his own time to actually go to the scene to find out what was actually happening. Instead, he only relied on an executive mansion press statement, according to him, a portion of it confirming that indeed an incident of sort happened in district number 15.
No, he indicated that also there were video footage.
And also a video footage that he saw from a third party, nasty, confirming that he was on the scene. That was very big. That was being unprofessional.
I think let me say to you, John.
For me, I mean, you were talking. I'm coming. Yeah,
I've been in news gathering for quite a long time. Let me just.
Likewise myself.
Okay, fine. So. Yeah. To get your content, for your news program, for your radio program, you get it so many ways.
In a riot situation, to make a report more authentic, it is always important. Even though, for instance, I live in Banga, and
overtalk me now.
No, I was talking. You interjected me. Even though, for instance, I live in Banga, and a situation happens in Monrovia, I will see on Facebook, for instance, on the social media, that something like this has happened in Banga. I will see video. But what will make my story more authentic is when I make a follow-up to go to Monrovia and see whether that story is actually true. What if somebody is trying to create a situation?
Let me bring something to your attention.
I'm not saying it is not.
Let me bring something to your attention. There's something they call. In fact, when I was at the independent radio, Star Radio, and trained by Robin White, something he used to tell us: trust your reporter. Trust your reporter. It means that whenever the reporter gathers the story, You trust him and you air the story.
But that's the same thing I'm saying.
If there's anything where the reporter maybe might have ethically transgressed, you take actions against that reporter. Paye-Layleh said to you there was video footage that he saw, and he didn't go to the scene, but he also backed it up by the press statement from the executive mansion. That was his explanation.
And I tried to ask him, and I tried to ask him to give me a specific quote from that statement that gave him the audacity or that made the video that he saw to be more authoritative and more than him going on the scene to actually see what happened. And that's the point I was trying to push. Because we live right here in Monrovia. That was not reliable source being inside according to reliable people. You got to go on the scene to see. The report, the manner in which before you ask a question, let me just say something about the manner in which journalist Paye-Layleh portrayed that story. He tried to give a very great relevance to Tilia as being the victim and portraying Abu and that of the CDC as being the perpetrators of what happened. How did he get to that conclusion? That's the question that I wanted to ask him. It's unfortunate that he left.
Dwell our discussion on the report that Paye-Layleh.
No, it's important. It's important so that people can know that the report was biased.
You listen at times.
It's important.
You know, that's the reason why the man say he wanted to provide you education.
No, it's not
about
he can't provide me education.
No,
he can't provide me education.
Listen now. You got to listen at times. The thing is, I don't want us to dwell on it because one, I did not listen to that report.
I listened to it. That's why I'm providing information to that.
Two, that's not the issue for which we invited Paye-Layleh. We invited Paye-Layleh because he has done a letter to the president of Liberia expressing some concerns. It was against that background that we invited Paye-Layleh. And before discussing the issue of the letter, we sought to have discussed some general issues regarding his reportorial duties, regarding some of the concerns people do have, regarding his credibility, and so Paye-Layleh was able to respond to that. The issue I'm saying to you, in news gathering, there are many ways, there are many sources that you can cultivate to get the news story.
I know of that. That's true. But one thing I want you to also know, Sabo, is that Mr. Paye-Layleh's report on that very incident, it was a deliberate attempt or a deliberate action to misinterpret and slant from the actual fact, thereby portraying the president as being the one who instigated what happened in district number 15. That was not the case. Sometimes, as journalists, my brother, we owe Liberia a whole lot. Now investors are all over there. That message has gone. Someone who is intending to come to Liberia to do an investment, the person is worried. He's thinking otherwise because he thinks a president is now instigating his supporters to go after people that are contesting on the other side, on the opposing side. And that's not what happened. That's what I'm trying to say. That's not what happened in district number 15. So his report was completely biased. He did not go on the scene according to his own admittance. He didn't go on the scene to know whether actually something like that happened. He only relied on a doctored video that was given to him, according to him, that was shown to him by one of the individuals who claimed to have been victimized. And that's negative. We cannot continue that.
If what you are saying that he did his report portraying that the president did,
I'm going to play this report.
That is totally wrong.
I'm going to play this report so that we all can hear it.
Listen to me. That is totally wrong. That is totally wrong. If anybody will craft a report or compile a report, to get at the highest office, that is totally wrong. But I'm saying to you, the reasons why we invited him was to discuss his communication.
No, you're right.
You have the report. You can.
I'm trying to get the report so that we can play it, because it's important for people to actually be fair to Liberia. So, let's be frank now. Today is everything.
That's the reason we're asking about his social responsibility. Yeah, and he did talk about
if the economy is booming,
he's under obligation also to report stories that will help the country to grow.
Nobody is saying he has not been reporting stories to help the country to grow. But I'm insisting that his report on the incident that occurred on the 17th of August 2019 was completely unethical and it was biased. He reported a story portraying Tilia Ure as the victim, wherein he didn't go on the scene. According to him, he denied he was not on the scene. He did not get the actual fact. According to my questions that he responded to, he only relied on an executive mansion press statement and that of a video that was shown to him by one of the individuals who claimed to have been a victim, and then doing his report. That was wrong. You don't do that. It's been unpatriotic and that's why I insisted he needed to apologize to the people. Mr. Paye-Layleh should apologize to the people for deliberately misrepresenting the fact, thereby portraying President Weir as being the individual or the official who instigated what happened. That's how he did it. That's how he did it. It was wrong. You don't do that. He's my big brother, and that's why I asked him those questions. He needed to have provided those clarities. He did not provide it. He needed to have apologized to Liberian people for misrepresenting the actual fact. Because in journalism, incident like that, you live right here in Morovia, you say, oh, you rely on executive mansion press release and that of a video. That was wrong. He was just being wicked to Liberia. And you don't do that. It was wrong. These are the kind of things that drive our investors away. It drives, we cry that the economy is bad. We cry that things are hard. But this very report, you're trying to tell the people who want to come to Liberia to do something that they should not come. Because you portray Liberia and the presidency as being a violent country. And when you do that, you deprive so many people across this country. It's been very unfair. It's unfortunate that he has gone, but let's just play a very short musical break. We'll come back, we can continue this conversation. I'm going to look for that video, for that report, so that we can play it. Everything has to be for 2 minutes. We'll play for Liberian people to hear it. Those people who didn't hear it to actually determine whether Mr. Paye-Layleh was actually right or not. Yes.
If you really need okay, yes, I will go home on this presentation of the bumper show for today, Wednesday. Thanks to all of you for your listening role. Those who placed in calls, thank you very much. Thanks to our long studio guests. Join us on Paye-Layleh of the British Broadcasting Corporation. Saba George is my name longer.
Yeah, Boima JV Boima.
What do you want to call your name? Okay, then until Monday we will return. There's no second chance for first impression. Have a pleasant time.